Well, hi there folks, it's Matt Hayson here, and this week I'm going to provide a special spring market report. I'm going to do a deep dive in the overall performance of the Sydney property sector, and I'm really providing a very, what I believe, realistic overview to empower consumers and support better buying and selling decisions. So let's start with the best in the business, SQM Research, where their data indicates that new listings, they are up in Sydney by 3% to close off September. Now, asking prices, they are just hanging in there, seeing 0.4% growth for houses through the course of September. Overall for the year, just up by 3%. Now, the clearance rate in Sydney, again, pretty weak, 47.3%. Big volumes as well, 1,601 properties going under the hammer. Now, the telling part for us, just 24% of those scheduled auctions actually selling under the hammer. That's been a very consistent trend in Sydney now for many months. So our takeaways on the market, there is no question, there is downward price pressure on certain segments of the property market. The depth of the buy pool certainly being tested when you're seeing on average 24% of so many auctions actually selling under the hammer. So trading conditions are slightly or modestly really in favour of buyers, but in our view, these trading conditions have been in place since April. There's more evidence though of this deterioration as the volume of property is rising, and we'd expect that moving into September, but also this no rate cut and a very hard stance from the RBA has exacerbated these affordability constraints. Now, while we've been reporting on these conditions for many months, the media this week, for whatever reason, have finally caught up, and the headlines, they came through thick and fast. Let's look at a few of them that we noticed. Weak auction market points to falling house prices. The auction market crashes as the fear of missing out evaporates. Home prices fall in parts of Sydney as a buyer's market looms, and the Sydney suburbs where house prices slumped by up to $288,000 in 3 months. Now, while the media are late, what's already happening behind the scenes is sellers are aware of this. They've been adjusting expectations and transactions have been improving. Now, the reality for the auction clearance rate, well, it's been weak all year, so I have no idea why the media are only cottoning on and reporting on this right now. I've argued for so many years that reporting on a preliminary clearance rate on Saturday afternoon, it's really misleading for the market. Agents don't report failed auction results. That's just a standard. So reporting data really deteriorates when the market weakens like it is right now, and then for more agents simply don't report more results. It's akin to calling the outcome of the grand final in the Swans game at the end of quarter one last weekend, and then they went on to get flogged in the next 3 quarters, and that was the end outcome. Also, this week, some forecasting is also pointing to further easing. CoreLogic data showing that Sydney values grew by a modest 0.5% over the last 3 months. That's the smallest gains over a quarter since February last year. Melbourne, well, we know house prices there have been falling for several months, but they're now joined by Canberra, Hobart and Darwin. But media headlines aside, it's a time for calm. We'd suggest that the price adjustments to sell are quite modest. We'd be suggesting maybe shaving off 1 to 5% of asking prices or expectations. But given the growth that Sydney's had over many years, it's hardly a time to hit the panic stations. But our view, buyers, you should be alert because opportunity is the best that it's been in many years. Now, we're providing this real data for consumers and this information as in our view, we're all adults, and I'd prefer to know fact from fantasy. Our industry, in my view, is also filled with so many actors who consistently mislead with fanciful information. But having clarity and genuine information is very much more empowering, and it's helping more people making smart buying and selling decisions to close off the year. Now, putting my money where my mouth is, would I buy in the current climate? Absolutely, I would. And in fact, I just did. I purchased a new home several months ago and only moved 2 weeks ago. So I'm a huge believer in the current market conditions. I'm a huge believer that buyers should be paying attention to the opportunity that's available to close off this year. Now, that leads us into this weekend, folks. We've got some great properties open for inspection, and our entire team looks forward to seeing you out and about. Hopefully, this was some good information for you, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.